before we actually start covering the subject, just let me shortly or briefly introduce myself. You're tonight's host. My name is Matija Kleinschek, or shortly, my nickname is Matic, much easier to pronounce, especially for the non-Slovenian speakers. Um, I am part of the Visit Good Place team, of course. I'm also co-founder of the agency. Um, I have slightly over 20 years of more or less passionate outdoor activities. I was also a mountain bike guide, or still am, but I'm just not practicing it anymore because I'm involved in many other processes. Um, Mostly I was like doing the mountain biking, also road cycling, a lot of mountaineering. In the past, I was really crazy about alpinism, going around the world, doing expeditions and climbing the high mountains. But then gradually, when you go to the job, you establish your family and similar, the time becomes quite an issue. And also I found another passion in working in the tourism sector. Originally by profession, I am a geodesist or cartographer. I used to work for around 12 years for the National Geodetic Institute of Slovenia. This specialty of being like a cartography expert helps me a lot as well when working now in the agency. Yeah, I must admit this photo is slightly older. There is much more hair behind the helmet. And on the other side, I am not shaving my legs anymore. That was another, like a period of my time being also passionate about doing the mountain bike marathons. But nowadays, it's more or less mostly for the my personal enjoyment and for the work purpose, of course. Um, I'm part of the Visit Good Place team. As mentioned, actually, we are all a group of friends who share a similar passion about traveling, going around the world, about being active, doing outdoor sports, and mostly about trying to share some of this experience with other through our agency and through the products we created. Um, it's difficult for me to talk or to do some like praising oneself or similar. I'm also not a particular salesperson, so this webinar won't be sales oriented. It's more like I would try to give you a real, sincere, in-depth or inside view of our activities and of our products, how we really do it, how we really see it, because our general motto or main motto we are driven by is to do everything that we do with passion. We really love what we do, and we want to create experience for others in a way that we would do it ourselves. So it is somehow something that we really love to do. Uh, Most of all things, besides quite some recognition from different worldwide media, we are very proud about the recognition of our guests. So far, we are still 5-star rated on different platforms, and for which we are really grateful. The topics we're going to cover today, um, as mentioned, cycling in Slovenia and Croatia in this region of the Central Europe. Mostly about cycling, to be honest, a little bit about hiking as well at the end, but we will try to cover all type of tours, all type of products that we offer, those being touring cycling, gravel tours, mountain biking, and as mentioned at the end, hiking. Uh, I will briefly represent one of our recent products, which is Transdinarica, part of which is also included in our gravel tours. And at the end, for those who managed to stick with me throughout the whole webinar, there is a special surprise. So you're kindly invited to stay until the very end, and I will give you some a small reward at the end for your patience, and hopefully it will be interesting enough that that shouldn't be a hard business to do. Uh, I apologize in advance. It's like 1 a.m. here in Slovenia. If I accidentally yawn in between talking or something, but hopefully it shouldn't happen. Just sorry, don't blame me, blame the hour, but I think it shouldn't be a problem because the topics we're going to cover should be interesting enough. So briefly about the region and briefly about the content. All these red lines you're looking here at, these are somehow the database of our spatial data, our tracks, from which we design different cycling and hiking products. So far, we cover over 10,000 kilometers in the region, mostly Slovenia and a little bit of Croatia and a little bit of Austria and Italy. Both Slovenia and Croatia lie directly in the center of Europe on the shores of the Adriatic Sea, which is a very pleasant sea. It's actually a big new northern bay of the Mediterranean with really Mediterranean characteristics, being not so deep sea. It's like shallow and it warms up quickly. It's perfect for swimming in the summertime, also in the pre-season and after season. And on the northern side of the Slovenian country in the region, you can see a bit of a rough terrain. This is the Alps, the Julian Alps stretching all the way to Slovenia. And actually many of our tours start or some of them end in the heart of Julian Alps and then going down south towards the Mediterranean to touch the Adriatic Sea. And then of course the tours in Croatia cover the region in the coast and also inland of the Croatia country. From those red lines, all these kilometers, we created so far quite many touring, mountain biking, and gravel tours, of which we are going to talk now in the following minutes. Before we continue to specific tours and to presentation of each one of them, maybe just a short, really short introduction of what we actually offer. There are different types of tours. Of course, mostly we can talk about guided or self-guided tours. I will return to this a little bit later. But all of these tours have this in common. It's taken care of for booking of your accommodations. We really try to find best places along the routes. We work with small local businesses, with cozy stays, tourist farms, family-run businesses, and so on. We take care about the luggage transfer between the stages. We take care about the logistic, the transfer from the starting point, or if you arrive to Ljubljana airport and stay the first night in Ljubljana, then of course we take care about taking you to the starting point of the tour. We offer a huge range of bikes to rent of all types, mostly nowadays hybrid e-bikes. All of our e-bikes are the brand Scott. Then we cover gravel segment with Merida bikes, also mountain bikes, hardtail, and full suspension bikes. So we have almost 100 bikes for now, and we really try to change the whole fleet in about 2 to 3 years. We take a big care about the maintenance, so we really want to offer a good let's say a good experience to our guests, not to be ruined, of course, by some unnecessary let's say the problems with bikes or something like that. So the bikes can be rented. You can, of course, arrive with your own bikes if you prefer, but it's much easier, especially if you come from far away from overseas, to rent the bikes with us. And then the logistic takes care also about delivering the bikes to the starting point, picking up at the end point, transfers back, and similar. For those going or deciding or opting for the guided tours, you don't have to worry about much else. Our guides will do it. We work with well-experienced local guides, and they have a quite in-depth knowledge about the region. They know how to guide you, where to guide you, what to see along the way, what to tell you about the places you're going to visit, to take care about accommodations, all logistic, restaurants, dinners, similar. But for those who opt for a self-guided option, which on one hand is slightly more exciting, or maybe gives you a sort of a freedom to enjoy not so tight schedule or timetable. You don't need to stick with the group dynamic. You can decide wherever you want to start, where to stop, what to see. Um, for all those, we deliver quite let's say a rich navigational pack. which helps you to navigate yourself without any problem along the tour throughout the region from starting point to the end. And being on the self-guided tour, of course, brings along a little bit more of the responsibility to taking care about your own let's say reservations of dinners, taking care about the bikes if some minor things happen and similar. But of course, for any emergency cases along the route, there is our support. We always cover anything that needs to be covered on our behalf in case of serious bike damage, any other difficulties and so on. Just for, let's say, for an example, usually, of course, the weather is not an issue to stop biking unless there is some severe situation. We all know how the weather is going on, although being quite stable and nice throughout the season in this part of the world. It can happen sometimes that really strong thunderstorms are coming along. And in this case, we also try to help you out and to organize some local transfer, whatever needed. Just to tell you that we won't leave you unattended in the middle of nowhere anytime. Um, Having the navigational pack, we deliver it through the Ride with GPS application, being, of course, one of several on the market, but we somehow decided for it because it offers all the possibilities we wanted to use. So we would share with you really precise GPS data throughout tour experience, the Ride with GPS experience, which when downloaded to your phone provides all the navigational data offline, not just tracks and many points of interest with lots of information, but also the map layer, the vector layer is downloaded to your phone, so you can easily navigate yourself and use the navigation without mobile data, without internet connection. Also, this is free of charge, the free mobile app for everyone who gets this experience through our portal. We are aware there are maybe some other preferences, so therefore it's always possible to export navigational data and use them with any other application if preferred, or with standalone navigational devices like Garmin, Wahoo, and similar. So this all is covered. Moreover, for the self-guided tours, we offer an extended online briefing every time before you start the tour, like 2 to 3 weeks prior to the tour start. With every guest who books the self-guided tour with us, we have an extensive talk of over 1 hour, hour and a half, to present the tour in details, to present the navigation package, to give all the info in advance, and to help you out with your preparation so you can go carefree to the you can come careless or carefree to our country and enjoy the cycling tour. Which are the main reasons to come to Slovenia and Croatia? Okay, this is quite hard to choose. There are many, of course. Like everywhere you go in the world, you might have some special expectations or wishes you want to fulfill. But I would say that mostly it's the big diversity, not only landscape diversity, not only diversity in really stunning views, if we start with Slovenia, but also diversity in other geography characteristics, vegetation, local cuisine, local language spoken. By the way, English is widely spoken everywhere in the region, either Slovenia or Croatia, so no problem with communication. Um, it's really this small part of the world is packed with so many different characteristics that you will definitely experience something new every day on every stage of the tour. Uh, Many of our tours have this name you have probably seen, like from Alps to the Adriatic. Yes, 6, 7 days, but on every day different experience, either alpine environment, either the vineyards, either the karstic world, either the underground caves of the karstic world, either the Mediterranean olive trees and similar, and then at the end, of course, Adriatic. So really big changes from day to day. Some of them, of course, we've seen also in these pictures. Alpine a village of shepherds' houses, wooden ones. This is the plateau of Pokljuka in the Julian Alps. Many our tours go through this region. Lake Bled being the glacier lake, besides Buchin Lake, two of the alpine gems, probably mostly well known touristic places in Slovenia. Adriatic coast, inland with the hills covered with vineyards and so on. Okay, this speed up video here on the blade presents Pletna boats, the traditional boats arriving to the lake, to the island in the middle of the lake. Just by the way, information, it's quite popular to get married on this island in the middle of the lake. In this case, it's a tradition in Slovenia that a broom-to-be needs to carry the wife-to-be all the way from the shore up over this 99 stairs to the church. So this is actually a first test of the marriage, even before it's settled. So it's a quite popular thing, actually, really, here in Slovenia. It's hard to talk about everything. It's much better to see all those things I'm talking about in the moving pictures. So yeah, this is a short video presenting some of the main characteristics of Slovenia's landscape, covered with emerald rivers, Socha River being one of the most well-known among them. Karstic villages this is the big monument of that area on the edge of the Karst plateau with an overview of the Alps and behind and so on. What is also, what is very popular here is the activities you can do besides cycling, of course. You can do a lot of hiking, you can go swimming, you can do other water sports. Socha River is mostly well known for sport activities like kayaking, then canyoning, also rafting and similar. It's possible to do this on the tours as well. Some stages are designed in a way that gives you plenty of time in the afternoon, or at least some time in the afternoon to do not only sightseeing along the way, not only enjoying the places, the towns or villages you're staying at, but also some other activities besides only the cycling tour. Of course, that depends on the type of the tour, the difficulty, the length you decide to choose. All this can be tailored to your needs, not only guided and self-guided, as I mentioned before. Both of these can be really made custom for you, really tailored to specific needs. Based on all this data we have, we can sometimes prepare really totally different programs to what you can see on our webpage too. For example, last year we had a winner in the length of a 17 stages long tour. We prepared over 30 different options, 30 stages of different difficulty all along. So it was really quite a challenge, but the group enjoyed it a lot, and they cycled literally the whole of Slovenia all around. The infrastructure in Slovenia, it's very good. You have plenty of dedicated cycling paths that gives you an opportunity to cycle carefree, sometimes careless as well, as it looks here. But still, yeah, the network of dedicated cycling paths is growing every year. Where those don't exist, of course, we always design our tours in a way that they take place along quiet countryside roads, either paved or unpaved, depending on the type of the tour. So literally never you will be part of a busy roads or traffic. Maybe when crossing some urban area, going through the cities, but in this case, you always have cycling paths, traffic lights, safe crossings, and similar. So in terms of being involved in a traffic, you can really feel safe. Besides avoiding it, there is also a very high level of culture of other traffic participants, like drivers, similar, who are really take care or about the cyclists, because in the last years, of course, like in many places of the world, cycling tourism is increasing. There are many cyclists on the roads, and people are getting used to it, and this culture is also evolving along. So I must say, we really haven't had so far any bad experience um, when doing this activity in the region. Last but not least, we shouldn't forget about the food, of course. Slovenia has been also declared European region of gastronomy in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Not only in that year, every year and every time of the year, there are many good places to enjoy good food. It's really a gourmet destination. Um, Very typical of Slovenia are, okay, I won't be listing special dishes, but what I wanted to say is we have a big tradition of some special gourmet products, and also we are influenced a lot by nearby surrounded countries, either being Austria, Hungary, Italy, Croatia. So going down towards sea, you will experience more Mediterranean-like food, seafood. Staying up north, it's more like meat-based, potato, prosciutto meat, cheese. It's a big tradition in Slovenia of making home cheese. So yeah, you will definitely enjoy every day. And we also try to put this in every tour of ours, not only those which hold name gourmet tour, but also others. You know, the restaurants are carefully picked up, and it will give you opportunity to really enjoy good meals along with good wine. Slovenia, besides all, has several perfect wine regions with world-class wines produced there. Wine degustation possible not only along the meal, but special occasions, and all this is taken care of when being on the tour. Just for the last thing about Slovenia, it's not just what I'm talking about or what I want to present. The biggest ambassadors of cycling in Slovenia are our sportsmen, of course, cyclists of the world range. You probably know about the best cyclists in the world for the last few years, Tadej Pogačar and Primož Roglič and many others. And maybe just few seconds of the statement of few words that Tadej Pogačar has said about inviting.
If you're visiting Slovenia just because of me, I suggest you to take your bike with you because it's so beautiful to go on the bike. The nature is beautiful. We have everything: flat mountains, vineyards. You can go to the sea, really to the Alps, and you can experience everything on the bike. So if you visit just for me, I suggest you bring the bike, maybe go with a camper or something, and just feel the nature of Slovenia. It's perfect.
Okay, that was today's Pogačar view. Well, he's a professional sportsman. On our tours, you don't need to rush and to compete, at least not with everybody else, maybe with yourself if you want. But the main purpose of cycling stages is not to rush from point A to point B, but it's more about the enjoyment along the way and of having enough time to stop, to do the sightseeing, to have a good meal also during the day, and mostly to have enough time in the afternoon, in the evening to explore the destination and to enjoy your rest. Croatia, quite similar to Slovenia, of course. It's a neighboring region, but different in some characteristics, especially geographically and climate-wise. It's more down south. It's closer to the Mediterranean. Probably most of you or most people who come to this part of the world know Croatia for its coast, for the thousands of islands in Dalmatia. Let's say uh, coastal tourism is very, very well developed in Croatia. Many people come here for summer holidays, but Croatia is much more than just the coast. As soon as you go inland, you can experience totally different world, sometimes very remote, very unspoiled so far, with old settlements, historical settlements, hilltop villages, old villages like those in the picture, the village of Motovun. When you go the inland of Istria, you will experience typical Mediterranean Istrian cuisine based on truffle mushrooms, based on special pastas, again, good wine regions and similar. And also the accommodations we try to include are something that will give you a good experience of the region. Packed with history also, I haven't mentioned in Slovenia, but it's quite the same. Here, for example, you see the Roman Amphitheatrum in Pula being the second largest, besides the one in Rome, of course. The coastal town of Rovinj, quite similar or similar looking like Piran in Slovenia, and so on. Really, really typical architecture, typical weather characteristics at the end of the day, because the climate is very mild here, and therefore the Croatia region, the Istria region allows us to, or everybody else to enjoy activities also in the pre-seasonal time or after the main season. So in the shoulder season time, like early May and then late September, October even, when the crowds are away, when the summer heat is away, you can really enjoy very, very good cycling in this region. As mentioned, not only the coast, of course, we do take our tours to the coast because it's nice to visit it, but in between we go deep inland and explore some totally other types of landscape which Croatia can offer. Just a close-up view of the pool amphitheater once again, and Rovin mentioned before from the other side, a popular stop, also a stop on one of the stages or on several stages on some of our tours. I'm repeating myself, I know, but Croatia is the same as Slovenia, very well known for its gourmet treats. This time slightly different because based, of course, more on the seafood like shells, shrimps, and similar, and previously mentioned truffle mushrooms. Istria is very well known for this, and local cheese and local meat products all available for everybody who comes on our cycling tours as well. They actually on daily basis. Few more moving impressions from the Croatian landscape as well as previously in the Slovenia. From the mountains of Velebit down to the source of the Zrmanja River, the Cetinja River, some of very well-known points, the Pag Island in the northern Adriatic, and so on. Now we will go directly to our tours one by one. Okay, of course, not in the detail. You don't have that much time, but briefly, we'll do the brief overview. I will try to point out basic characteristics of each one of them, in what they are similar, in what they differ. But before that, just one few or two sentences about special type of tours we offer. This is the Bike Slovenia Green Tours. This is quite a unique opportunity for everyone to enjoy the tours, which connect only green certified destinations. Uh, we started with creating this product several years ago, and now we can offer several as well. And it gives you a really, let's say, a good option, a good possibility of enjoying destinations which are very, very aware of how to do the tourism in a sustainable way. And yeah, somehow in this way, we also help, our guests also help to the preservation of nature, of an environment, and everything. So this is something we are really proud of as well, and really want to operate in this way as a whole, as an agency, not just with the Slovenia Green Tours. And here we are starting with the touring cycling. We will go from the easiest one towards slightly more demanding. Easy, I mean, like in a fitness level wise or technical difficulty wise. No worries, none of our tours are like extremely difficult, but again, they are different, and everyone can pick up or find something that suits to his taste or her taste. And now, starting with touring cycling, we will cover the Istrian Peninsula as a part of Croatia, firstly. Then we will look into some of our tours going from the north, from the Alps down to the Adriatic. This is actually our bestseller tour, Slovenia Bike Slovenia Green Alps to the Adriatic, starting up north in close to the Austrian border and ending down in the Adriatic coast. Then we will look or talk slightly about Slovenia Gourmet, also Slovenia Green Tour by Gourmet Holes. Here doing the same corridor in the western Slovenia, going to Ljubljana, taking another train transfer to the Sava River region and going towards east to the city of Maribor. And at the end, two more tours, which can be done as one, as a whole, or as two separated tours. Slovenia Green Wellness Tour, going from the center of Ljubljana to the eastern part of Slovenia and going back down in the south towards the Riva Krka and Dolenska region. So let's start with Istria. General characteristics of all our touring programs is, as I mentioned, these are not demanding cycling tours. They are of different length, basically 6 or 7 days, but some of them, like Slovenia Gourmet Route, longer, 11 days. All of the stages are designed in a way they are not too long. They would cover like 35 to 40K and not much elevation, up to 400 meters. Of course, there are some few exceptions of being even shorter or slightly longer, but generally these tours are meant for everyone. They are low to moderate level of difficulty. Uh, Practically no technical difficulty as long as you know how to ride the bike and how to go on the road. Sometimes gravel roads, then you're perfectly fine. Of course, it requires a bit of a fitness preparation, but generally doing it with e-bikes also helps you out not to worry about finishing the day too tired and giving you plenty of energy and time to enjoy all the highlights you can find on the way. Istria to the Adriatic tour. This is the one down in the Istria Peninsula I mentioned before. This is the first one we created in the region, and it's actually a circular tour. It encircles the northern part of Istria, going inland, starting in Italy actually, going to Slovenia and continuing to Croatia, which means in these 6 days it covers 3 different countries, mostly in Croatia. Uh, and it's quite diverse, from easy coastal cycling, the beginning from Italy to Slovenia. The inland cycling to Croatia offers a little bit more challenging terrains following the old Parenzana railway, former narrow gauge railway, which was later on transformed to cycling route and hiking. Very nice, very good. Sorry. Very, very, let's say, picturesque, since it follows lots of former railway bridges, goes through the tunnels and similar. On the way, you will see different views. This is the gravel Prensana railway overview to the Motovun on the other side of Mirna Valley. Motovun being a medieval hilltop village, it's a really nice place to stay. Adriatic coast with the town of Piran, the before mentioned good food on the way, lots of heritage, different type of heritage, natural and cultural along the way. Its sister, so to speak, it's Istria Gourmet Cycling Holidays. It starts or it covers similar region of the Istria Peninsula, just being one day longer, and it has one special characteristics. It's different in, let's say, difficulty level, because it takes place along easier paved roads without challenging Porenzana gravel. On the other hand, it's typical for its accommodations. They are carefully picked up and they offer you a little bit more of comfort. These are 4 to 5 stars accommodations. We carefully pick up the best of in the region, which offer really enjoyment and relaxation and good food, swimming pools and similar for those who are looking for a little bit of let's say, enjoyable comfort on the tour. And also the stages are designed in a way that you have plenty of time to enjoy all this, not just to do the overnight stay. Otherwise, as mentioned, similar region, except it doesn't do the loop when coming to the central Istria. It doesn't go back to Slovenia, but it continues down south to the very tip of the Istria Peninsula in the town of Pula with the before mentioned amphitheater. And yeah, these are just few glimpses of the exact accommodations we are using on this tour. Although those tours are, as I mentioned, somehow related, they are different in the difficulty level and in the level of accommodations, but still all this can be tailored up. For those opting for harder one, doing the Parenzana, you always have an easier option. We always offer different type of trails, like classic ones, which show the main character of the tour, in this case, gravel Parenzana, and then you have an easier route to go on the paved roads. Vice versa, doing the Istria Gourmet cycling route, basic classic routes are easier going on the paved roads. But for those who might, besides this, who might want to do a little bit of challenging cycling on the gravel, you always have a harder option to choose. So we try to offer everything that you can somehow decide, not only in terms of difficulty, but also, you know, it can happen sometimes either the weather, either you don't feel okay and you want to do it easier and faster. So you always have this different level option to choose from for every stage of our tours. Then we go up north to Slovenia, and this is the Bike Slovenia Green Alps to the Adriatic tour. As mentioned before, it's our bestseller. It's really the most popular tour since it covers really the best destinations in Slovenia, in the western part of Slovenia, from Kranjska Gora, around the Triglav National Park almost, visiting glacial lakes of Bled and Bohinj, taking a short train ride to Soča Valley, ending up in Brda region with the wine region with perfect wine tasting, going over karst, having the possibility of visiting Scotian caves, the underground karst world, and ending up in the Adriatic Sea. So it's really very diverse, and what is very good, it's just for intermediate cyclists who really try to enjoy. It's not too difficult, although it goes across difficult terrain, you know. You will see later on, same region, we do the mountain bike tours, but in this case, of course, you need to do some climbing left and right from the valley, going up to the ridges and do the descents and climbs before and so on. But with this tour, it's optimized for the easiest performance and for enjoyment on the way. Few photo impressions of this tour along the Soča River, Brda region. If doing the tour in late summer, early autumn, September, you would be able to see the harvesting of the grapes also and try the young wine. Not only tasting the grapes, of course, tasting the wine in the wine cellars. Again, good food, as mentioned several times already. Cycling also through the vineyards, along the glacier lakes, and so on. Really diverse, as I pointed out in the beginning. This tour really wraps up the diversity of Slovenia. Every day something different. Again, a sister route, Bike Slovenia Green Gourmet Tour. You start in Ljubljana, arrive into Ljubljana, then we take care for the transfer to the western part of Slovenia, to the Soča Valley. And then you do similar corridor as with Bike Slovenia Green Alps to the Adriatic, except visiting also the Vipava Valley, and then not turning down to the Adriatic. But after visiting Scotian caves, you take a train ride back to Ljubljana, have another day in Ljubljana to enjoy its very good cuisine with several Michelin star restaurants, not only Ljubljana, in other parts of the tour as well. And then you take another short, sustainable train transfer towards the east in the Sava Valley region, where you continue cycling along the Sava River and then along the Sotla River, along the Croatian border, back, or let's say up towards the Maribor, the second largest city in Slovenia. And this eastern part gives you a total different character of Slovenia with compared to what you experienced in the west. So that's why this tour is slightly longer, but it's worth doing it for those who have more time, for those who want to experience even more than just diversity of the Western Slovenia. Just for information, this is the view from Ljubljana city, being the capital, over the nearby hills all the way to the Kamniško-Savinjske Alps behind. Already this gives you the impression of the diversity of the landscape in such a small scale already here. Karstic town or village of Staniel, cycling along the Soča River. Yep, food again. Soča River with its emerald color. This is actually co-influenced with the Tolminka River near the town of Tolmin, which you pass on the Slovenia Green Gourmet route. Another tour going towards the east, the before mentioned Slovenia Green Wellness route, north and south variation, or you can do both. To my opinion, this is the, let's say, the youngest tour of our touring program. So it's slowly becoming more known and more popular, but to my opinion, it's even better than the previous ones in this special, let's say, in this special way, because it actually avoids the main touristic places. Not in a way that you don't see nice and good places of Slovenia, but in a way that you go slightly off the beaten track, that you slightly avoid the crowds, because as you are probably aware, everywhere in each country you have these hotspots, these Instagram spots where everyone wants to go make a photo, like Lake Bled, Postojna Cave, whatever in Slovenia. So here you actually do a little bit of going around this, but you are rewarded with a really, really beautiful remote countryside landscape, which offers everything that the other places can as well, or even more. Besides that, not only nature and good cycling spots, but also the relaxation in the spas, because the wellness route, of course, means that you can practice wellness. Practically every stage offers you a stop in a healing spas and enjoy the saunas, pools, and similar, because that's why the tour was designed actually. Of course, you can skip it, you don't need to do it, but it's possible you have this option every day. Few photo impression of these tours: the northern part going towards Maribor, and then the southern going down towards Ptuj. This is actually a picture of the town of Ptuj, the oldest city in Slovenia with the oldest wine cellar as well. Another impression of one of the spas, the river, the bridge over the Drava river. And yeah, this is somehow different, but yet very, very interesting. And hopefully, we really hope it will become more and more popular among the cyclists as well. Now we proceed from the touring program to gravel. So we go into the slightly more demanding segment of cycling. Um, if the touring program tries to stick with really easy paved roads or cycling paths with maybe a little bit of smooth and easy gravel, then of course the main character of gravel cycling is to find as much gravel as possible, and of course to have this opportunity to really enjoy the countryside in a bit more demanding way. But on the other hand, that gives you the opportunity to go in a places otherwise you wouldn't see. Um, a small remark about these gravel routes. Again, the classic routes are designed in a way that express mostly the character of the type of the tour, which is gravel tour. The gravel in this place of the in Slovenia region or Croatia region is not always something smooth and fine one would expect, or maybe it's not like being able to ride a road bike on that type of gravel. It can be demanding, it can be bumpy, rough terrain sometimes, but generally we really try to avoid any really extremely difficult sections, but still some of the tours offer also challenging cycling. We will start with our best gravel tour, best of Slovenia gravel, again here in the western part, but taking totally different trails compared to before mentioned touring routes. We will talk about this one, a little bit about the around Triglav National Park, and then another one in Slovenia, which goes from east, from Maribor over vast Pohorje forests, Karavanke Ridge, and to the Lake Bled. It touches the Julian Alps, and then we will go down south towards Croatia, which offers really, really spectacular gravel roads on the coast, just behind the coast, on the Velebit Range, over the islands and similar. So really something to enjoy. If you compare these numbers later on the recording, you will see the length of the stages slowly goes up, the elevation you need to overcome slowly goes up. Of course, it's more demanding terrain. The most suitable bikes to do it, of course, are special gravel bikes with the road bike geometry and solid tires with good profile and similar. But also they're doable with e-bikes or classic mountain bikes, hardtail bikes. It's not a problem, of course. Sometimes even easier if using the suspension. Again, highlights on the tour are similar really, really nice landscape and very, very diverse trails. The first one, which I mentioned, Best of Slovenia Gravel, covering the western part of the country. You can see quite some elevation and length in those 7 stages, but it will give you the opportunity to cycle over, or let's say from Austria to Slovenia, slightly through Italy, and at the end also Croatia. So actually 4 countries, mostly Slovenia, of course, but a big diversity of trails, of hills, of mountains you're going to cycle over. In this case, with gravel tours and also with the mountain bike tours later on, these characteristics of having different level of or difficulties of stages available comes even more handy, because the classic gravel routes or stages will cover mostly gravel roads with some demanding sections. If you don't feel like climbing over the hills, doing the macadam climbs and bumpy descents, which are perfectly doable, but maybe for whatever reason of the day you want to do it easier, then the easier route will take you along the valley with significant less of the elevation and with mostly paved surface. So you have this option to choose from, which is even more handy, comes even more in hand than with the touring program. Few photo impressions: suspension bridges over the Socha River. You cross them several times, enjoying the sunset at the coast of the Adriatic, in between cycling through Goriška Brda, small town of Šmartno with very good wine cellar as well. Crossing the Vršič Pass, being the highest alpine pass with the road in Slovenia, with over, actually the road goes up to 1600 meters, but with the bike you can go even higher. Again, Socha River, again, Fund along the way. This tour really covers similar corridor as before mentioned touring program of the Alps to Adriatic tour, but on totally different trails. Instead of following the valleys, you would go up on the ridges, up to the mountains, up and down if preferred, and so on. So very, very scenic and sometimes also challenging cycling. Again, we can talk about a smaller sister of this tour. Instead of going from the north all the way down to the Adriatic, the Around Triglav National Park tour stays in the northwest part of Slovenia. In 5 or 6 stages, depending on how you decide, it encircles the whole Triglav National Park, which is quite a special characteristic, quite unique and very nice. On the way, you go also across the Vršič Pass. Both of the pictures here are from this area. And you have the opportunity to go through the Socha Valley, to go back towards Buhin Lake, to go to the Bled Lake, and then you actually encircle all this area of Julian Alps or Triglav National Park, which is very, very nice and very beautiful. Some other regions compared to the previous tour, this Zajamniki shepherd's pasture before mentioned on the Pokljuka plateau, and enjoying the Sava Valley. And again, this is just above the Vršič Pass and along the Socha River. Yeah, I know I'm probably repeating myself, but if I had to choose among those gravel tours, that one would be maybe a bit special, also because it offers you a circular route. So you actually come and start and end at the same point, and in between you see a lot. But if choosing a really different gravel experience compared to the Best of Slovenia gravel bike tour, then I would opt for this one, the Slovenia Backcountry Gravel Bike Tour, because again, it takes you to the eastern part of the country, to Maribor, where you start, and then you go up to Pohorje Massif and you follow the Pohorje forests, descend down to the Drava Valley, go towards Karavanke Ridge. Really quiet and remote cycling. There are some stages where you don't meet anybody until you reach the final point. Maybe there is some mountain hut on the way, but in some cases even this is not the case. So really, really much more adventurous, so to speak, and for those who seek quiet and really remote sections. Not so much of the alpine world, because you are in pre-alpine world, but those forests are perfect for summertime. There is shadow, not so high temperatures, and very nice experience. And it also, the tour ends on the foot of the Julian Alps at the end of the day, so you end up in Bled and also have the experience of the Triglav National Park, so to speak. Just for a little bit of, let's say, to have the impressions of the characteristics of the tour: big forests, small villages is on the way. One of the mostly known farms in Slovenia, very remote place, but very beautiful, with Kamniško-Savinjske Alps behind the tour. Pass is just above this. Drava River, this is at the beginning of the tour, of course. Enjoying high grass-covered ridges of the Karavanke Mountains, and again, Kamniško-Savinjske Alps from the other perspective. Remote, wild, and also challenging depending on the difficulty of the stages you choose. And now we quickly go down towards Croatia. Similarly, as with touring program, you will experience a bit different geography here, different landscape, but nonetheless interesting. The most strong characteristics of these tours are cycling over the Velebit Nature Park, having the views of the islands, and also ending down on cycling on the islands. Really wild and remote gravel roads. So this Adventure Croatia tour starts above the city of Rijeka, in the very northern point of the Kvarner Bay or of the Adriatic Sea in Croatia, and then follows the Velebit range and goes down to the Pag Island and ends up in the source of the Zrmanja River with the Zrmanja River waterfalls, before visiting the Zrmanja River Canyon, cycling down the Majsterska Road or Majsterska Cesta, as we see, which crosses the Velebit range, the Pag Island view, the cheese on Pag Island, very well known because there are lots of sheep on Pag, and the sheep cheese is very known product, local product from the Pag Island, and of course the seafood, you cannot avoid it. Unless, of course, you don't like it, then you have other options, no problem. Somehow missing link between connecting the Slovenia, the routes in Slovenia, the before mentioned routes of Best of Slovenia gravel, and the one we just saw, the Adventures Croatia gravel, is Transdinarica. At the end, I will briefly explain a little bit about Transdinarica, but Transdinarica is a long distance cycling route of over 5,000 kilometers, but it actually starts in Slovenia. And the first part of this tour, of this route, the Slovenian and a little bit of Croatian, is also included in one of our tours. Actually, we designed this tour, the Transdinarica, as well, and we are also the official tour operators for the Slovenian and Croatia part. So in this case, you will be able to connect the regions in Slovenia, start in the Soča Valley, going over Goriška Brda, Karst region, and then down to Croatia, across the border, and follow the Velebit range and end down on the coast, just near the islands. Also, you can combine and continue along the previously mentioned Croatia Adventures Tour, or there are many options how to do it. So some similar views, but also some different from Slovenian part of the tour. Again, Soča River and views from climbing towards the Velebit mountain. And on the way, before in Slovenia, none of our other tours can offer you the visit of Predjama Castle, of course, unless we make it like a custom way, but by default, the Transdinarica will take you there as well. From gravel program, now we proceed even a step higher in terms of difficulty. This is the mountain biking. Actually, mountain biking program was something that we started with. Most of us who started with creating the routes are, or used to be, quite passionate mountain bikers. And therefore, this was something that we really knew well. Trans-Slovenia tours, crossing Slovenia, as the name tells you, in 3 different ways. either from Austria along the western part of Slovenia down to the Adriatic, or directly, instead of following Soča River and Goriška Brda, you follow Pokljuka, Bled Lake, Bohinj Lake, inlands around Idrija town, historical town with UNESCO sites, and then down to Vipava Valley and to the coast. And the last one, Translovenia number 4, going from Karavanke from Jamnica Trail Park over Peca Trail Park towards Ljubljana, with many trails around, with another Golovec Trail Park, and then going down towards Karst and finishing the same in Piran on the coast. Translovenia 1, mostly for dedicated single trail lovers. Translovenia 2, less demanding, also for somebody who's not so extremely well prepared, because it will take you along easier gravel macadam roads as well, not only trails, not so many difficult climbs and descents. And Transylvania 4, typical for the trail centers or bike parks that it visits. All of them end up in Slovenia, as mentioned before, and then in Piran, in the ending point of Trans-Slovenia routes, the Trans-Croatia tour starts. The one which encircles Istria Peninsula, very beautiful one, perfect for pre-season or after season. And then the one which goes from mountains to islands, along the Velebit and down to the island of Rab and Krk. So in one tour, two really different faces of Croatia, of this region of Kvarner, because the Velebit Mountains climbs up directly from the sea up to 1700 meters, and you will cross this ridge and then descend down to the Adriatic. Again, numbers going up, difficulty going up, the fitness level, technical difficulty, everything. But of course, this is meant for those who enjoy, who like that type of the tour, for the mountain bikers. Again, all the tours are doable with the best way to do it is with a sort of a trail bike, with this segment of trail mountain bikes with a full suspension up to let's say 130 millimeters, because in between all the trails and climbs and descents, of course, you have the transfer sections doing the easier roads and so on. So pedaling some hard full suspension or heavy bike makes it more difficult. Also with the e-bikes, of course, nowadays there are very good e-mountain bikes available. A possibility of charging the batteries. I haven't mentioned this before with the touring and gravel program, of course, it's logical, but also here with remote and difficult mountain bike tours, you have this option. Sometimes not along the way, because there are some very remote places, especially in the range of Velebit in Croatia. But with good bikes, good batteries, the autonomy of the batteries allows you to do up to 70K with 1500 elevation easily, if you ride, of course, a little bit economically. Yeah, these are the main characteristics of the mountain bike tours. Now let's go to the first one, the Trans-Slovenia one. I would be repeating myself if describing again the Soča Valley, the Brda region, the Karst, but actually these are the regions that the Trans-Slovenia one tour crosses, but in a very different way, not following the valleys, but climbing up to the ridges, to the mountains, to the saddles, looking for the best trail descents to go down, and then of course to have a nice stop every night in nice cozy accommodations, again with good energized food available. This time you probably won't be looking only for the gourmet experience, but also to regain some energy well spent during the day when cycling. Photo impressions, some of them similar, but some of them very different. Again, you need to cross Soča River several times, but going up to the mountains above, here below is the Soča Valley. These are the mountains on the other side, and this is the Stow Ridge when going one of the stages. And similarly like this in the summertime, the green grasses, in the later autumn time, more brownish color, and ending the tour along the beautiful trails directly on the Adriatic coast before descending to the town of Piran. Translovenia 2, Translovenia number 2, as mentioned before, quite similar, but different in difficulty level. So it's best for also moderately experienced mountain bikers, not only those who seek hard trails, but also those who seek simply an adventure in the little bit more harsh environment, not only following the easy roads. Piran, the same. This is the ending point as with Translovenia. Let's start with the end point. But on the way to Piran, you go close to the Triglav mountain. You have some beautiful views from the uphill trails, early morning, around above the river Bacha Valley, also going or crossing the Lake Bled region, and along the way, opportunities to enjoy a lot of local cuisine and local products. This particular is cold meat and cheese offered on the previously seen Zajamniki shepherd's pasture in the Pokljuka plateau. Very cozy and homemade, but perfect to regain some energy. And the last of the Trans-Slovenia tours, number 4, the one which is more based on single trails. But again, those regions with single trails park are connected with quite some transfer roads you need to do, but still you would experience very, very different landscapes from the north of Slovenia to the center. This is the only mountain bike tour we have that goes through the capital. One would expect that going through the main city means like an urban area with less of the mountain bike terrains, but one could not be more mistaken because Ljubljana offers probably the biggest density of trails on the whole tour. It's really Ljubljana is really a green city, you know. Literally 10 minutes from the city center, you are on the trails, natural trails I'm talking about, not some artificial designed park. One of the characteristics of the Trans-Slovenia 4 is also possibility of cycling through the abandoned tunnels of the abandoned mine below the Peca mountain, a very unique experience. You do this with a local guide, of course, otherwise you would get lost in this labyrinth of so many tunnels. You can do an easy crossing through the mountain. It's about 6 kilometers, or you can opt for a harder enduro style of descent or crossing. There was a special enduro slope created crossing several levels of this abandoned mine. So you can check up on the internet the black hole enduro in Peca mountain. It's really, really something special, but this one requires very experienced bikers. Otherwise, vast forests, again, Kamiško-Savinjska Alps, trails at the seacoast, and ending up in Piran as the previous two of the mountain bike tours. Continuing to Croatia, perfect tour for starting or ending the season because of the previously mentioned mild climate, good temperatures also in the April, even earlier, also in the late October, very nice. So you can avoid the mass of tourism, you can avoid the peak season and do this later or before. Compared to touring routes we were talking about before, this one seeks for trails, of course. Most of the trails are more cross-country character, but you have several shorter but still demanding sections of climbs and descents with nice traily sections with a king stage at the end when you climb up to the Mount Uchka and do the 1000 meters descent directly back to the Adriatic coast. So quite impressive tour. I really like it a lot. Actually, I love Istria because it's so close to Slovenia and it gives us opportunity to do the cycling also in winter time for us because we just jump into the car, do a 1 hour ride and we can go biking. Even if all the infrastructure is closed, if there is no hotels and similar for us, this is no problem. So we have this advantage of being local and therefore we can do a lot of exploration and enjoying cycling also in winter time. The town of Motavun previously mentioned, Adriatic coast on the cape of the Kamenjak Peninsula down south on the tip of the Istria, really, really, really huge network of trails. encircling the Lim Fjord, of course not being the actual fjord as are known in the Scandinavia region, but this is just a very long and narrow bay of the former karstic river, which was flooded with seawater in the history. But very scenic and interesting. The railway, the tunnels of the Parenzana railway, you touch the Parenzana also, but mostly along the trails which are created along the route, left and right, and also Pula Amphitheatrum, as mentioned before. In the last one of the mountain bikes, the Trans-Croatia Mountains to Islands tour, harder than its sister in Istria because you need to cross the Velebit range, also a bit longer, a bit more of the elevation. For slightly more experienced cyclists compared to the Istrian tour, but it offers you a spectacular experience of crossing the northern Velebit National Park and then of changing totally the scenery when taking a short ferry to the island of Rap, crossing the Rap Island, taking another ferry to the island of Kirk, and then enjoying the very diverse cycling on Kirk Island. Kirk Island is really, how to say, a paradise for cycling. Again, pre-season, late season, best time, but in this time it requires a bit more careful planning because the Velebit range can be covered in snow also in early May, or you can experience some cold weather late September, depending on the conditions, but usually this tour is best done late May and June, and then September, even the beginning of October, exceptionally actually, because also the ferry schedule changes and similar, but not so, let's say, extremely pre or post seasonal, but still off season time. And let us finish with a short overview of our hiking program. So far, we offer these two hiking programs in the west of Slovenia. One of them is being Best of Slovenia hiking encircling Triglav National Park, similar as biking tour, but this time on totally different hiking trails, not accessible by bike. And another one would be the Walk of Peace, going from north, from Lokpot Mangaton village, down the Socha Valley, down to Italy, following the Italian Adriatic coast and finishing in the Italian town of Trieste. 11 to 12 days, those two programs. Again, the stages are designed to be available for intermediate hikers. You don't need to be extremely experienced in terms of any climbing or protected path or so. It's easy still, but still requires the proper gear and fitness level to do the stages. In average, they're not so long, up to 20K and 600 meters of elevation, but some of them might be slightly or are slightly harder. The Best of Slovenia hiking encircles the Triglav National Park. Yeah, we would be really telling the same thing as we were discussing before with the cycling tours, but to experience the region on foot is totally different because those paths would take you to some secret places where you can or definitely cannot go by bike, and therefore it's really a different and unique experience. On the way, you see things on natural games like waterfall Boka, the highest one in Slovenia with over 100 meters of free fall. The view of the Martulshka group of the Julian Alps, the Socha River with the mountains above, you actually go over this and then you climb on the other side, again up on the ridge. Also Vršič Pass, also mountains or hills above the Bled Lake. You have the opportunity to see the Bled Lake from a totally different perspective and so on. So really nice hiking. Meanwhile, the Walk of Peace has one very special characteristics. It is a hiking tour, of course, but it's mostly a thematic path because it follows the front line of the World War One. You probably know about the history here. There were terrible fights going on in the First World War. There was a front line between the Habsburg monarchy and the Italian army on the other side. And this front line was settled in the high mountains for 3 years, even more. And there are many remains of this bloody era of history. Lots of outdoor museums of the former front line, and you actually walk along this front line. And its main characteristics is that the line which used to divide nation, which caused so many pain and so many terrible things, is now the line which is connecting, which is full of memories of remains of the history and of telling us what we shouldn't do never again. Well, who knows, when we look around what is going on in the world right now, difficult to say we have learned anything from the history, but still this part of the world is now packed with peace, and this tour offers you to really dive deep into the history and to enjoy not only the nature but also the very strong cultural and historical heritage. Some very well-known monuments on the way with the outdoor museums, the Church of the Holy Ghost in Javorca, the before mentioned Ceria monument to the all fallen soldiers, not only the ones in the First World War, and so on, and the underground caverns, and yeah, really nice experience. Again, connecting Slovenia and Italy. To wrap it up, just let me repeat, or maybe I haven't told it yet. Our tours are really, let's say, we offer original and unique products. We really try to design them in a way that would offer you as much enjoyment as possible. We cover generally Slovenia and Croatia, but also a little bit of Italy and nearby Austria. And all of our tours are designed in a way that we really try to support green travel, mostly by visiting Slovenia Green certified providers. We also do put a lot of effort into the compensating of carbon emissions. We do this for all of our tours. We can also do it for you when you arrive, and we help you out with some calculation and so on, just to do a showcase of a responsible and sustainable approach to the tourism we do. The promise Transdinarica, I guess I'm getting a bit long, but I will do it quickly. The Transdinarica route is a bit different. It's 5,000-kilometer long cycling distance, long distance cycling route. We were the creators of this tour. It connects all the 8 countries of Balkan, not only Slovenia and Croatia, but also Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Albania, North Macedonia, Kosovo, and Serbia. Every country has a local tour operator. Our agency, Visit Good Place, being the tour operator for the Slovenian and Croatian part of the tour, of the route. Yeah, again, this is a product we're very proud of. It was actually finished this July, and up to this point, many cyclists already on the way doing the stages, doing the route. Most in the self-guided manner, but also it's possible to be done by the help of the tour operators like us. Here we are at the end. We were talking a little bit about the best times of the visit, main season or shoulder season. It's typical that the Mediterranean area is best to be done in shoulder season, so April, May, June, and then September, October. Meanwhile, the Alpine area better from June to September because of the higher parts in the mountains. Anyways, all the participants of the webinar will receive a PDF calendar with tour dates for 2025. To have a little bit of the insight about the pricing politics, we haven't been talking about this today, but it's difficult to give really exact numbers because with the self-program, mostly it really depends on the number of the participants with all the logistics needed behind. So you have general estimations for the guided tour on our webpage, but moreover, to have really good information or more accurate information, just write to our info mail and ask and put in the inquiry, and we will give you exact answers according to your wishes. And now, finally, this special gift I mentioned at the beginning. Well, actually, there are 2 gifts. I haven't mentioned that. One is that, okay, this is selling oriented now. for everyone, every participant of the webinar who decides to book any of our tours in the following 2 weeks will get a special discount or voucher in amount of 50 euros. And another thing we can offer is we are aware that it's difficult to cover much of the detailed information in such a short amount of time. We were actually speeding up over all of our tours. Actually, we offer you, for everyone who participated in the webinar, to be entitled to another additional free call, which can be scheduled through our email, let's say for like a 15-20 minutes call personally, just to discuss some specific questions or wishes you might have in regards to some specific tours. So if you have in mind really something you want to do, maybe you can't decide between 1, 2, 3 different tours, we can discuss this more into detail on a separate call. So feel free to ask for this opportunity, write an email on info@visitgoodplace.com, and our staff will arrange together with you, of course, a suitable date and time to have this call with one of us who know the content of our tours best. Yeah, finally we reached the end. I'm glad that most of you stayed with me. I will just stop sharing now so we can actually go to the questions and answers. Maybe if anyone wants, can also raise a hand. We can do it online through the microphone. I will now quickly browse through the questions which were put into the chat. Okay, the first one was about the webinar. It will be available. Yes, the recording, screen sharing problems at the beginning. I'm sorry for that. A question for the group of 6 to 8 that would like to do the Alps to Adriatic Easy Tour. We are interested in the self-guided tour sometime in June. How soon would we need to book this in order to get accommodation and e-bikes? I guess you probably expect the answer as soon as possible. I would advise you to do it this year because of the prices, an early bird gets the reward, or I don't know if this is the saying, maybe I just made it up, but it's more like it's much easier to organize a tour and to get better prices sooner. The closer we get to the main season, the more difficult it is to get good pricing and available rooms. So my advice would be as soon as possible, at least soon after the new year, in January, February, the latest, let's say. About the e-bikes, it's not a problem. We have them many, so we manage them throughout the tour. Let's say the maximum amount of the tours we can manage can be covered with our bikes. What type of bike is best to use for Transdinarica full route? The answer would be gravel bikes with tires 38 or 42 millimeters because it gives you a good option to ride, to be fast on the paved surface, but also you can do easily the gravel ones. So yeah, gravel bikes, that would be my answer. Is it possible to go through Velebit National Park with a road bike? On the edge of the park, yes, there are some roads, but you cannot cross the actual ridge of the Velebit Mountains because there is only gravel road. You can do it inland behind the Velebit Massif. There are some local roads, but actually you are on the edge or close to the area of the Velebit National Park. Where are the reviews on Google and Facebook? I was looking for reviews of your guided bike touring. You can find most of the reviews on the TripAdvisor and on our Facebook page as well. Google too. So just simply look up for the Visit Good Place agency. Right now, to be honest, I don't know what are the specific reviews about the guided tours, but usually there are reviews about all type of the tours. So I think it should be possible to find some. Regarding the guided tour, can you describe how the group typically interacts? Does everyone ride together, eat together, hang out together when not riding? Yes, a good question, quite commonly asked, but to be honest, what I found or we found typical for people who decide for doing the guided tours, they all have something in common, and this is mostly the passion for cycling and exploring the area. One of the things to point out is also we do a small groups, guiding groups, up to 8 people in one, or cyclists for one guide, which means those groups are not big. Sometimes groups are already organized by themselves. Maybe a bigger group of friends or somebody who knows come together. So in this case, they are already acquainted, so you have no problems about this. But if people are coming from all over and just meeting up on the spot and doing the tour together, yes, usually the guide takes care about group dynamic, about everything about suggesting the restaurants, sightseeing, what to do. He or she would definitely try to listen the possible suggestions from the group. So always can be somehow arranged, even if the, let's say, the expectations or wishes are quite different, which I don't remember being the case. Then the guide would make a good compromise out of it. Yes, you can go to the dinner together, or of course you can dine by yourselves in the same restaurant. It's not like you need to sit at the same table or similar, but definitely usually there is a good chemistry in the group soon after the first day, and some new friendships are made and similar. So usually it's fun and nice. It's no problem with this, I would say. What tour would be available the first week of April? Um, yeah, definitely the tours down in Istria. If we are talking about a touring program, then it would be Istria to Adriatic or Istria Gourmet. If looking for a bit better level of accommodations and gourmet experience. And also the Transdinarica route shouldn't be a problem starting in Socha Valley. I mean, in terms of elevation and temperatures and so on, but you never know about the weather. April can be still changeable. Sometimes it's perfect, sometimes it's rainy. So yeah, if deciding to go cycling on April, you need to expect or need to be, let's say, experienced in a way of adapting to different circumstances that might occur. What type of your rental bike would be best for the gourmet tour? Definitely either gravel bike or, of course, any type of e-bikes, if you prefer to use e-bike. With both, it's doable, but if opting for non-e-bike, then gravel bike is the best because it's quite fast on the paved sections and comfortable enough on the gravel ones. Okay, there was a question about the Velvet National Park road. We already answered it. Do you have experience sourcing e-trikes? Okay. This probably relates to the question which was put in the Google forum. I apologize, I haven't answered it yet. No, to be honest, we don't have this experience. But what can I say about some special design of the tours, maybe for let's say for people with some special needs or mobility issues or handicaps? Uh, we we are not like specialized in doing so, to be honest, but we have some experience. For example, last year, oh no, this year, this season, we had a couple on a tandem mountain bike with a trailer for the dog, which was a guide dog for the blind person. So one of the cyclists was blind, and the other cyclist was leading him, and the dog was leading him as well when going along. So they did the Alps to the Adriatic tour, which was tailored to their needs. We avoided doing the train transfer because of the length of the bike and the carrier of the for the dog, and we avoid as many roads as possible. They wanted to do the mountain bike like gravel roads. I mean, with a it was a mountain bike, e-bike, tandem bike. So they did the whole route and they enjoyed it a lot, and we were all very happy, and we were impressed, and they were very happy with everything. We took care for this about the service of the sorry, about the transfer of all this equipment to the beginning and to the end of from the end of the tour back to the beginning and so on. So yeah, I would say, although not being experienced, it's worth asking. You can send us some special requirements you might have, and we would look into it and give you more detailed answer after we have, let's say, more information. Which can we look up? What do most people use? I guess this relates to the type of the bikes. Um, it really depends on the type of the tour, but with the gourmet, for example, we are talking about before, mostly gravel or e-bikes we have. Actually, those two segments of bikes are widely used on all tours except mountain bike, of course. So yeah, gravel bikes, because on each of the program you have some gravel if you want to use it, and e-bikes for those who want to, let's say, make some climbs more easier and have more time and to enjoy, not to put too much effort, because um, some climbs can also be challenging, to be honest. Is there an average speed for road bike tours? Do you all stick together or regroup at certain places? Good for solo travelers. Um, okay, let me answer the last question. Any of the tour is okay for solo travelers, no problem. In the terms of safety, for example, Slovenia, Croatia, very safe countries, not a problem. Also, in terms of the services on the road, yeah, and the safety on the road because of the traffic and so on. So it's really good to travel alone as well. If cycling in a guided group, either being a road bike tour or any other type of the tour, it's always taken care of to take the group dynamics into account in a way that the, let's say, the slowest participant wouldn't suffer and that the fastest participant wouldn't be bored. So sometimes you can decide, and those who want to do it faster, you make an agreement with the guide and you say, yeah, we'll go this section, particularly this climb, rather faster, or maybe in our own pace, and we meet at the top, or maybe we meet at this crossroads. So the guide always sees at the beginning of the tour, he sees all the participants, their abilities, their physical abilities, and so on, and then he can manage this dynamic easily based on his or her experience. And usually it's done in this way. Yes, it's possible to separate. It's possible to follow one's own pace, especially on the climbs, and to regroup after that. So it's not like you need to stick with some special, with some um, particular speed or something, but it can be managed in a way. Okay, right now I don't see any other question. Also, feel free to ask anything later on in an email, uh, or you can opt for the call I mentioned. If you have few more minutes of time, you can also unmute yourselves and ask it here directly, or just simply raise your hands. Otherwise, I think the recording will be available soon. It will be put on our website. You will also receive the link, and yeah, you will be able to go through, let's say, slower, maybe more into detail. Yeah, I hope it wasn't too long. I hope you enjoyed it. And at the end of the day, of course, we all hope that we can meet someday in Slovenia. I cannot do anything but invite you heartily because not just because of being Slovenian and being a patriot or something like this, but I've traveled a lot. I've been around the world. I love to see different countries. Each country has something to offer. But at the end of the day, and I guess this stands true for everyone being home anywhere else, but at the end of the day, to my experience, Slovenia is special in a way that being such a small country, such a diverse country, really, really gives you an opportunity to uh, to experience so much in such a short time, in such a short distance. Um, Maybe just as one small example again, the tours which take place in the western part of Slovenia, going from the north to the south, from the Alps to the Adriatic, you can do it in 6 days, easy days. You can do it in 3 days if you want to speed up or combine stages. But what you can do as well, being local, you can go in June up to the mountains and ski. Then you go down to the car, take a 1.5 hour ride to the coastline, and you jump into the Adriatic Sea, which is already above 20 degrees warm. So this is what it is about Slovenia. So diverse and so many different things to offer in such a small area, so to speak. So yeah, thanks again. Thank you for your words as well here in the chat. Once again, kindly invited to visit our country. We would be more than happy to listen to your needs, to your wishes, and create something, even something special, some tailor-made tour if necessary. Otherwise, I hope there is enough to be enough available in our regular program. But as mentioned, always we can do and prepare something special. So have a good day, good night, and yeah, maybe hear you later in a call or see you one day the tour. Bye. Huh? Is there maybe somebody wants to ask something? No. Okay. Bye.